Good morning. This is our Airbnb here in Paris. We're back in Paris, and today's mission is wine tasting, which was sponsored by our friend. And we're on the second floor. This room is big, by the way. And we are right across the restroom, and there's another room here. We have a couch here, we hang out, and the kitchen is over here. Plus, it's got a balcony. You can hang outside. Have a fridge. All the essentials. The washer is not working though. This building has its own elevator, which we got confused. We're on the second floor. A lot of flies because of summer. And by Paris standards, this elevator is actually bigger than the usual. On our way to wine tasting. Starts at 5. Okay, so to go there, we're gonna ride a tram. It's the T2 tram. Kaya mo mga 4 seconds.
Il y a un peu mal au genou et tout là, c'est pas, je suis pas à 100%.
À moins que j'essaie de cogner ton genou.
See, it will start in like 15 minutes. Okay, so you have time to relax here at the bar. You have the bathroom just 8 minutes inside.
So this is the wine tasting restaurant. It's called Au Chateau, and it's gonna start in 10 minutes.
I mean, you aren't retired and all. Start acting your age. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is nice. Now we're talking. Now the question is, we would have sit 4 in a row or 2 across each other.
Okay nga, gusto niyo na akong sasagot.
You just put it in front of you. A rough couple of hours, but I'll try to make it as pleasant as possible. The idea of today is, well, to give you an introduction to French wine so that, well, by tonight you're able to have enough of the basics to be able to order your next bottle of wine. So we'll be tasting a bit of champagne and 5 other wines from well, every single region of France. I'll start by introducing myself, and then after I'd like to get to know everyone a bit better. So as I said, my name is Melanie. I think I've been a wine lover for basically my whole life. Because my first wine tasting, I was actually 8 years old, and telling my parents, this wine is good, this wine is bad. And apparently at the time I had very expensive tastes. Some things never change. Since then, I've been lucky enough to understand I could make a job out of wine, so I studied wine and even went to 24 different wine producing countries. So during the tasting you have...
And we like Sauvignon Blanc.
I'm Lynn from Auckland in New Zealand, and I guess my favourite wine is a dry Riesling.
Okay, cool.
Probably Alsatian.
Very nice.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, but I currently live in Dallas, Texas. I'm here with my mom and my sister. And my favorite is probably Riesling or a red wine.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kayla.
Cheers.
It's been a long day, sorry. So, again, something, small mishap.
Oh, how is it? So
I
it's
like
number
it.
one. Number one is
Champagne.
champagne. And it's good?
It's good.
Is it too dry? No.
No, I like it. It's not too sweet.
Not too sweet.
Yeah. But it has like a taste, and it's true. It smells like bakery.
Yeast.
Yeah, bakery. Yeah, like bread. So I'm falling in love.
So you're looking I can tell you something very important. This one is white. All jokes aside, it's true that sometimes when you don't have the sense of sight, things can be complicated. For example, when a sommelier is doing a blind tasting using black glasses, they can get confused between red and white. So being able to see what color is the wine is actually not such a given. So when looking at the wine, there's well, what you want to do first is usually you want to look at it on a white surface, because well, you want to be able to see exactly the colors of the wine, because the shades of wine are going to tell you things about it. What happens is that a young white wine usually can be described as being pale gold or pale lemon. And while the wine is going to age, what's going to happen is going to get into contact with oxygen, and the oxygen is going to have multiple effects on the wine. First effect is going to change the flavors of the wine, but it's also going to change its color. When the wine is young, it's described as lemon or gold, of course, but the more oxygen it will see, the browner the wine will become. So a young wine will have no brown reflections, whereas an old wine will have so. This usually starts at the top of the glass, so if you're looking here, there's a clear disc that's completely transparent. This means that the wine is going to be completely young because there's no browning at all, but then the older the wine will get, the browner this will become, and then the browning will go to the whole liquid. Fun fact, this is going to be true for white wines, but the browning is always also going to happen on red wines. So technically, a very, very old bottle of red and a very, very old bottle of white could have almost the same color. But here we see that the wine is clear, and well, I would say it's pale lemon, so we can tell it's going to be young, and in fact it's 2022, which basically is a baby wine. Then second thing you're going to look at, you're going to look at how bright the wine is. The brightness of the wine, it's an indication of acidity. And I know that acidity doesn't really sound very sexy, but it's actually something that you need in wine. Wine is an alcoholic beverage, alcohol is heavy, so you need the acidity to work as something that's going to make it lighter. So usually a wine that has lost its acidity is not very pleasant. So if you ever have a doubt when you're drinking your wine, so you're smelling it and you feel that the aromas are off, look at the wine. If it's bright, it still contains acidity. If on the other hand it's completely dull, that means that the acidity has gone away, so you probably can give it to your stepmother or to the bin, but don't drink it, it's probably gone bad. Here we see that the wine is quite bright, so you can tell that the wine is going to be very acidic, or you can use the term crisp, which is actually much nicer, because acidic, it doesn't sound very sexy. Last thing that you're going to do when you're looking at the wine, you're going to turn your wine inside of the glass, and you're going to observe the sides of the glass. So here you can see that sometimes there's just a little bit of the liquid that sticks to the side. This is what we can refer to as tears or legs. I'm going to call them legs because tears depresses me. But the legs are an indication of viscosity in the wine, so of density, and this density can be due to two things, either alcohol or sugar. In most white wines, it's rarely going to be alcohol, because most white wines have constant degree of alcohol. But if you have thick legs that are going down very slowly in a white wine, that means that the wine is going to be sweet. On the other hand, if it's like this wine that we're having right now, the legs are going down very quickly, they're very thin, so you can tell that the wine is going to be dry, because the reverse of sweet is dry in wine. So by just looking at this wine, you already know three things. The wine is going to be young, the wine is going to be crisp, and the wine is going to be dry. Not too bad for not having done much. Let's jump in the more interesting stuff. Let's smell the wine. So smelling the wine, usually when you're a sommelier, you're going to do it into two steps. One, when the wine was freshly poured. This is what we call the first nose. It's just basically taking the wine, having a sniff of it, so that you get acquainted with the different aromas that are in it. Of course, the first nose it can be a bit shy. So what you want to do is to oxygenate, aerate your wine just a little bit, get heat inside of it so that the flavors can just be enhanced. That you do by just swirling your wine inside of the glass, so oxygen gets into it and the wine heats up just a bit. And usually by the second time around, you get more of the aromas. Do you feel it? And here it is the point where the sommeliers, they get very annoying. They're going to tell you, well, this smells like the lemon tree in my grandmother's orchard, fruit number 5, 1966. Nobody cares about having that much precision. The idea is that the smells of the wine are going to tell you a lot of things about it, and it's for you to start remembering the specific combinations of smell that are going to tell you things about the wine. So don't worry about trying to pinpoint the exact fruit. Start working in big categories, and the more you do it, the easier it will get, and the more you will be able to tell about the wine by just smelling it. In fruit or flowers. So when you're smelling a wine, start by saying, is this wine fruity or flowery? I think this one is quite fruity actually. What kind of fruit can I find inside of it? I have something that reminds me of citrus, maybe.
My grandmother's lemon tree?
Yeah, lemon. I have more of a citrusy thing going on, grapefruit going on, but a bit of lemon too. I have something that's a bit flowery, reminding me of white flowers like elderflower liquor. I have something a bit greenish that reminds me of fresh cut grass, those kind of things. And maybe a slight peach or something a bit exotic that's going into it. And no worries if you're not able to do it from the start. Your nose is something that you have to train, so if you're not used to doing it, when you don't have the object in front of you, it's kind of the hardest thing that you can do. So it's just a question of taking, it's a habit you have, or maybe you can start training yourself at home by just, doing blind smellings of things around your house. But no worries if at the beginning it's hard or you're just relying on what I'm saying. It doesn't really matter. The most important question anyways that you will have to answer is, do I like the wine or not?
Yes.
So this is the most important. But while smelling all those combinations of aromas, here I have the citrus, I have the herbaceous note. I also have a bit of minerality. This reminds me, of a river, like the rocks that are a bit wet. And this tells me that it's probably made from a grape called Sauvignon Blanc. Because the thing is that every single varietal that exists in the world are going to have their own signature scents. This signature scent can vary a bit according to the climate. So a cold climate Sauvignon Blanc is just a bit different from a hotter climate Sauvignon Blanc. Say for example in the Loire Valley it's more citrusy and herbaceous, whereas in New Zealand it's much more exotic and smelling like green bell pepper. But this specific combinations of smell is the Sauvignon Blanc. Cabernet Sauvignon is typically smelling like blackcurrant and green bell peppers. Pinot Noir smells of cherries and roses. It's those kind of things that allow a sommelier to tell you when they're smelling the wine, well, this is this grape or not. So this is the first step. Then the secondary aromas are all of the aromas that come from the winemaking techniques that were used to make the wines. So typically, well, we have the lees aging I was talking about in Champagne. So if you're smelling croissant or fresh or pastry, you can probably tell that was a bit of lees aging, and often this hides a bit the primary aromas. It can be butter from something called malolactic conversion. It could be vanilla or spices from oak aging. So the barrel is going to give taste. It can be vanilla, it can be smoke, those kind of things. And every single of those techniques are going to affect the style of the wine. So if you are able to describe them, it's going also to help you in understanding better where the wine might come from. Last thing is the tertiary aromas. These are all of the aromas that come from the aging of the wine. This is often dried fruits, it can be nuts, it can be leather, mushrooms, those kind of things. But obviously in this wine we won't find any because, well, 2022, there was no time for tertiary aromas to arrive. So by making a combination of what you smelled inside of your glass, you will be able, by using the French and European wine system, to pinpoint maybe where the wine came from. Why is that? Well, I know that in France sometimes we make things complicated. The appellation of controlled origin, or sometimes AOP now, protected origin. So that means that every time that they're using those, well, if they're using this, they have to follow the rules. So what grape they can use, what winemaking techniques, the yields of the vines, how they grow it, everything.
Okay, thank you.
Or like after you get their Wi-Fi, you get it on chateau. It's like a sort base camp.
Just in case, if you don't finish your wines, there are buckets at the middle of the table for it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what do you call that thing?
This is a drop stopper. So this is to control better the pour, because you know often when you're pouring wine, there's this last drop that's going down. So you use it so that you don't do it, especially with those tables where it can be a bit complicated. Yeah. And as I'm clumsy, it's very useful for me.
The mattress is perfect. My hair's